What's up, everyone? Thank you for checking out and supporting this episode of Raised a Geek. This week, we want to talk about the Penguin finale because it happened a week ago, and we want to talk about it. Did the show push Penguin to the top of the villain charts of Batman, or did he fall to the bottom of the rogues gallery? Let's find out. I'm Chris. This week, I'm here with my buddies Tony and Don. How we doing, guys?
Chris, what is up today, my friend? And Tony, my other friend. Good to see you, fellas.
Yes.
This evening to finally talk about some Penguin.
Been a minute.
Been a little bit, but yeah, everything is okay. Cannot complain too much. Just it's a Sunday, the first Sunday in 9 weeks without an episode of Penguin for me.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Now I got to get ready for Dune.
Dune.
Yeah, Dune. But everything's okay. How are you, fellows?
I'm doing well, Sunday. Getting ready for work tomorrow, trying to get my mind right.
Here's the thing. We're recording this on Sunday a little later than usual.
Yeah.
Because Chris had an adventure today.
An adventure.
So like the Sunday scaries we're in them. We're deep in them.
Oh, yeah,
Now
deep.
it's like I
dark
got a couple
outside.
hours. Yeah.
Yeah. Normally when I record with you guys, I have to mess with the shades so there's not a giant glare in my eyes.
Yeah.
Tonight, it's dark out.
I get it. I was
And
doing
Speaking of just like dark early, like getting dark at 4:30, 5 o'clock.
I hate
Worst, man. It's the
Don't
worst.
like it.
It's the worst.
No,
It's
this time
the
change is
worst.
throwing me off. I feel like as I get older, the time change is getting worse. I used to feel like I treasured having the hour jump ahead, and now I feel even when I wake up to try to go to the gym in the morning, the sun is up, so then it's like makes me feel like it's too late to go to the gym. It's been real weird. I haven't enjoyed it at all.
This is stupid. In the summertime, the sun stays out till 8 p.m. It's beautiful. I think that thing's shining on you at 7 o'clock. You're like, I'm living the life. I feel alive. Now, I just want to curl up in bed at 5 p.m. and just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's only 7 now. Feels like it's
Yeah.
like 10.
We're doing this at midnight, guys. That's what it feels like.
Does anyone else, as you're talking about weird things happening in this time, at this time last year, I had a whole list of movies that I still wanted to see that came out this year that I hadn't seen yet to try to like watch before end of year kind of lists and whatnot. Do you feel like you have a lot of movies that you still have to watch? Or does it feel like this year's kind of lean?
I feel like I fell off I feel like I made a list earlier in the year, and it's probably in my notes somewhere, but I have not kept up at all. I'll usually remember something. We talked about, what was it, last week we were talking, or 2 weeks ago, you guys were like, oh, it was after our Aliens podcast, you guys brought up Predator, and then someone said Prey, and I was like, I didn't see Prey. You know what I mean? And that was
You're a couple years behind.
Yeah, that was 2 years
Yeah.
ago. So
Yeah.
I just watched Prey last week.
Mm-hmm.
It's
So
pretty dope, right?
oh, it was great. Yeah, it was pretty cool. A couple little Easter eggs here and there with some things like that, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty awesome. But if I just saw that, I'm sure there's at least 5 or 6 movies from this year that I still haven't seen. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like last year or the past couple years, there has been a end of year checklist, especially because you and I have always tried to do a best of the year podcast.
Yeah, Tony, you got to get ready for your best 5 of the year. What are your favorite 5 movies that came out this year?
I don't have
Start
time
watching
for that.
movies.
Start watching. Figure it out.
But I mean, I'm gonna have trouble with that this year because I have not seen as many movies. I guess there always comes up. I guess December is like my catch-up month. It's like, okay, maybe I'll watch this, but I don't have any off the top of my head. I honestly would probably have to get on the Google and go see what the hell there even is out there that I haven't seen, because I don't know. Maybe I've just been out of touch with movies this year. Who knows?
I can tell you my list is going to be weird as fuck if I go by what I've watched so far, because I don't even know. It's going to be so random.
I know, like, I just saw a thumbnail for Maxine because it just got released on, I think, Max or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
So I was like, oh yeah, I didn't see that yet. That was one of the ones that I was like, I need to kind of finish that trilogy. So like, that's one I could think of that I was trying to watch this year. But other than that, I really don't. I don't know, man. I'm getting old. My brain's just more and more fried with things, and there's so much content now across 17 different platforms and services where it's like, wait, what is it on? I spend more time Googling where something is streaming than actually
Right.
watching it.
It's true.
And that's why I've started canceling streaming services. And I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to have all of these options anymore.
Yeah.
Granted, I did just get Netflix back to watch Mike Tyson, and then Netflix wouldn't even let me watch Mike Tyson. So
Yeah.
You fell for it. You're a patsy.
I fell for it. They got me. I gave $7 for the ad tier. I've already canceled it.
Yep. Well,
I'm good.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with end of year movies. We'll catch up, or if we don't, we don't.
I'm just curious. We'll still be able to come up with 5.
I mean,
can
what's
still
the
pick
top
5 movies that I saw this year and what I thought were my favorite?
like what's the top movie of 2024? Like what I can't even think of what.
I mean, Deadpool Wolverine was probably the biggest.
Okay.
Deadpool Wolverine and Inside Out 2 were like the highest grossing movies of the year.
And what was
So
Best
far.
Picture?
Well, they haven't come up with any of that stuff yet. Like, I can name movies that have made money, but I can't name
Yeah.
movies that are like people are like, oh, this is the Oscar winning.
Yeah,
gonna
I have
be,
no
yeah.
idea what's going to be nominated for Oscars next year.
Yeah.
Coming out of this year. And I know we're coming out of a writer's strike this year, and that's why this year
Yeah,
is real weird
that's a huge
anyway,
part of it.
But it's just kind of curious. I was thinking about it the other day, and
I just saw a trailer for a new Ben Stiller Christmas movie where I was like, okay, hopefully that ends up being some sort of fun new thing to watch.
that one with the foster kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's got what's her name from Freaks and Geeks?
Taylor Leone? Nope, Linda Cardellini.
Taylor Leone. It's Linda
Yeah,
Cardellini.
you said Leone.
It's Linda Cardellini.
Yeah, love her. Love her and everything.
Yeah. But we're here to talk about Penguin finale. If you have any thoughts before we get to our final favorite movies of 2024, you know what to do. Hit us up on social media, Raise the Geek, or email us at raisethegeek@gmail.com. And we'd love to know what movies we should watch. So let us know. Hit us up. I think are we on Blue Sky yet? I know I am.
I did that today.
So Raise the Geek is on Blue Sky. So if you're on Blue Sky, you can hit us up, friend us, follow us, and let us know over there. I don't know what our handle is or how to find us, but I'm assuming if you just type in Raise the Geek, something will come up.
Yeah, we'll be there, and still Instagram, still Facebook. We'll hang out on Twitter and just avoid Elon. But we'll be around.
So that's how you find us. Let us know what movies we should watch before the end of this year so we can talk about them here in a few weeks when we're getting ready to wrap up 2024, which is crazy. But one of the best shows of 2024 just ended last week.
Spoilers.
My opinion. Well, my opinion, maybe they hated it. I don't know. But The Penguin ended. We talked about the first 3 episodes and just gushed about how amazing it was. So I mean, it's not very surprising that I enjoyed Penguin. Maybe once again, maybe they hated it. But the finale was last week. We're ready to talk about The Penguin. I do have a quick synopsis. If for some reason you want to listen to us talk about the Penguin finale but didn't watch the show, this is kind of where we were for the finale. But the finale of The Penguin sees Oswald "Oz" Cobb fully embrace his dark ambitions, solidifying his place as Gotham's new crime kingpin. The episode is packed with intense confrontations, especially with Sophia Falcone, as alliances are tested and blood is spilled. It's a gritty conclusion that sets up intriguing possibilities for the future of Gotham's underworld, tying closely to the events of Matt Reeves The Batman. Expect shocking twists, power plays, and a climactic showdown that leaves the city's fate hanging in the balance. So that's, if you haven't watched it yet, it was right there.
That's it in a nutshell.
That's it in a nutshell. You don't know no details, but that's all what happened. Clearly got Oz becoming the Penguin, top hat and all. What'd you guys think of the finale of the Penguin or the show in general? However we want to talk about this.
Me? You first, fella.
Colin.
Me? I liked it. It was really good.
Now you binged pretty much the whole show this week, right?
Yeah, I watched the first episode and then just had so much going on I could not keep up with it. So all week I watched it, and that's not something I would recommend for somebody to do because it's a dark show. There's a lot going on in there. But yeah, it was really good. Acting across the board. I don't think there was a weak character or weak actor anywhere. I thought the pace was really everything ran smoothly. You know what I mean? It just kind of seemed seamless. I felt like I was in that world. Nothing seemed out of place. So I really dug it. And I'm sure we'll get to the finale later, but there's just some dark things in the show where I'm just like, fuck, that was brutal, But all in all, I enjoyed it. I'm excited for whether there's a season 2, or I think I was talking to you guys that these characters are going to be carrying over into the next Batman movie, which is exciting. So I'm excited to see them again. So yeah, I dug it.
Yeah, same. So Chris already said he liked it. We all liked it.
Yeah.
And for good reason. It was a very, very good show, very well made. I think me and Chris, when we talked about the first two, kind of said it felt like something that could be really memorable and really good, and like one of the, just predicting it could be one of the best comic book inspired shows ever made, and I think it probably did that. I'd be hard pressed to think of many more comic book inspired shows that are better than this, just as a season. But yeah, man, the acting from top to bottom, Colin Farrell is fantastic.
Unbelievable, man.
The actress who played Sophia, I had
Christina
her name.
Malini.
Yeah, she was welcome addition and fantastic also. Those were like the two main leads, but everybody else who kind of filled in all the roles were great too. And it just
Cristin
reminded
Milioti.
Yes, Cristin Milioti, she was fantastic. It just kind of reminded me why I like um Matt Reeves Batman universe he's now building. Like he started with the movie, which we talked about was fantastic and stands shoulder to shoulder, I think, with The Dark Knight. And then this show is just kind of expanding on that world and just gave me more belief at the end of the day as to like, I don't want another Batman like that. James Gunn's world is going to bring us some other Batman to be like, this Batman is a Earth 2. Like, no, this is Batman. Like, you guys should just stick with this. This is perfect. This is a great Gotham. You've taken a villain who we kind of met in that movie, but now you've like really let us know him. Now I got to see what happens with him going forward. And I know Colin Farrell has said he's going to be in the second movie, like 5 or 6
Nice.
scenes. He said he's going to have like 5 or 6 scenes in the second movie, but then he's also signed on for the third movie, and he would consider doing a season 2 of this show if like they came up with an idea for it. Um, so that's encouraging. But yeah, the show's really good. I think HBO or Max, whoever they are, the executives, when they decided to make this a Sunday night show, it was one of the best decisions they made because originally this was just going to be a Max show that you could just like watch on the app. But it's really good, man. I really loved it. I really thought it was great. I love a crime drama. So when you take that and mix it with comic books, which is like one of my other big loves, we all know, just yeah, made some magic with this one, I think. So I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, no doubts. When we start talking about 2024 and our favorite things, the show is going to be in that list of some of, just quality TV. No surprise, it's HBO. HBO always usually delivers when they do. And like I said, they don't pick their Sunday night dramas just like
Lightly.
haphazardly. They definitely are very specific on what shows make it onto Sunday nights. And this one was definitely deserving of it. Yeah, I agree, obviously, with what you guys all said. And what's crazy about this show is just how they were able to, like I said, take this just kind of like minor character from the Batman and almost make the Penguin now be this Batman's main villain. Like, this is the villain that everybody now is kind of going into Batman 2 just wanting to see, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
it's like he has the equivalent of the Riddler at this point, if not, I would say Joker, but still, like he can stand on his own as a villain now.
If the Batman 2 was advertised as this is Batman versus Penguin, people would be like, great.
Yeah.
And in
No one's gonna have an issue.
in the first movie, he was just like a mid-level, guy who had a couple cool scenes. Like we all thought it was cool that it was Colin Farrell under the makeup, but like he didn't have much to do. But then you take this show and it's his show, so it's showing him going from that to, becoming the crime boss, kingpin, kind of on top of the underground crime world. Yeah, now we give a shit what his character is doing and wonder like I wonder what Batman's gonna do to him. I hope Batman fucking knocks
Batman's
him
got to
down.
get this dude. This dude is trouble now.
Yeah, right.
We need Batman. Batman needs to stop this guy. This guy did some shit.
He's out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Batman, where are you?
Yeah, so it's a cool evolution from what he was in the movie to now, like
I
being the guy we got to see what happens to.
I love the fact that they didn't prequel this. That this was basically a sequel to the Batman. It took place 2 weeks after the Batman ended, and it would have been very easy to be like, "Hey, let's do a Penguin prequel show and learn about where he was, like, up to that." And I love the fact that this was a continuation. I feel like everyone always wants to go that prequel route and, like, tell a story that no one's really asking for, and this way they were able to tell that story, but mixed in with something that moved it forward, and it became more
Yeah.
of a sequel. Like, yeah, of course, there were flashbacks, and, yeah, of course, we learned about Oz, and his, backstory and where he came from and him as a kid and all that fucked up shit that happened in that situation and his mother and all of these things. But I love the fact that they didn't just make it be about that. I could easily see them being like, oh, it's just, Penguin as a teenager. Granted, I know we had the Gotham TV show where it was like, the Riddler at 12, but I'm glad
Yeah,
they resisted.
yeah, they just all they did was really mix in like the flashbacks of him as a kid, which were some of the most hilarious parts of this show. Just like, you deserve the best life. I promise, ma. I promise. What a little fucking kid with that accent.
Don't kill me,
Right.
Ma. Don't kill me. I swear.
Uh,
I swear I'm good. So So I guess I don't know. Do you guys? I have a couple random questions. I know one is about the just kind of mob mentality. Obviously, the Falcones and the Maronis are a big deal in the Batman universe. Nolan used them across his trilogy. They were used obviously in the Batman, and then obviously the show was what it was about these like warring mob families, and ultimately those families were destroyed on this show. And I don't know how I feel about that, that there really are no more Falcones and Maronis.
well, that's kind of the way of the comic books.
Yeah.
Um, if you've read, like we've talked about on this show a couple times, Long Halloween or anything like that, Batman Year One, Gotham when Batman is first starting is run by mob families, but they find a way to find themselves extinct. There's different ways they go about it in different adaptations. Sometimes the supervillains are the ones to do it, like even in The Dark Knight, like Joker's Heath Ledger's Joker is like, "Oh, this is a new kind of villain. Like we're not used to this. We're used to fucking running drugs and
Mhm.
running mob shit and whatever." And this show it's like they destroy themselves, and in the comics the same thing because it gives way to eventually Gotham is going to be run by costumed freaks like Joker and Riddler and Penguin and Catwoman and blah 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 and
Mr. Freeze.
the old school gangster with the Tommy gun and the drug business are going to like go the way of the dinosaur. That's kind of like it follows a uh blueprint that's already kind of been set for
Mm.
this. But yeah, I mean, I'll miss seeing them in future things because I always say I like when Batman's fighting mobsters and these two families.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a natural progression, I think, of what Batman stories have always been.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The old crime gives way to new crime, and so. But it's cool to see the journey of it.
Yeah, I just don't know if I was ready for it all to pretty much go up in flames.
That's what happened.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sophia just lit it all on fire, and Oz threw some gasoline on it and let
yeah.
come what may from
Well,
that.
how many Maronis and Falcones did we see die in the show? You know, the
I mean, all of
son
the Falcone.
Sal died, his wife died, his son died. Uh,
Yeah, his
I
whole
mean,
line.
everybody except her niece, and then would they mention her sister at the or half sister at the end?
Selena, the Catwoman. So yeah,
Yeah.
Catwoman.
So,
Yeah,
she ain't going
um,
nowhere.
yeah. So it's
yeah,
her and her niece.
right.
You know.
And Sophia basically said she's out. She didn't want to be
Right.
that anymore. She wanted a different
Yeah, she was a
existence.
gigante.
Yeah. She took her mother's name at some point halfway through.
As
Yeah.
soon as she lost her mushrooms, she turned tail and changed her name. That was it.
It's true. Don't ignore your mushrooms, everybody. That's
Don't.
what we're trying to say.
Are you talking about lion's mane?
Yeah, and
I, s-
nootropics and
I, s-
adaptogens.
I see that bottle on your mic stand. I just noticed it.
Yeah,
That is a magic mind, isn't it?
I've been promoting Magic Mind this whole episode.
Oh my
This
god.
whole episode. Ready, waiting for us to talk about bliss and the mushrooms so I could talk about the high quality ingredients that are found in Magic Mind,
Dude, they are, man.
which
I like
are
it.
functional mushrooms.
Yeah.
Tropics, all of those things to give you that easy ride through the day.
I had some Magic Mind actually this morning because I was going to I'm trying to work in a fourth day at the gym. So it's like Sunday morning before I get up or before football starts, I'm gonna go hit the gym and like I didn't want to have that coffee. I didn't want to have coffee, you know what I mean, and just go out the door and have like coffee breath going to the gym. So I was like, I have these Magic Minds sitting in here. So yeah, I hit it. My sister was here the other day and she saw him in the fridge. She was like, "What is that?" And she's never like seen him. And I was like, "Oh, that's Magic Mind. You should try it." So she took one. So I wonder if she's tasting those mushrooms right now. I know I did, and they're sweet and they're good.
I know I've said multiple times on here that the pre-workout for me, I always like hitting that in the morning before I go to the gym, usually every other morning. And I always feel like it's just a cleaner. I've done some pre-workouts and some other, like I said, coffee or trying to do energy drinks or something to try to get that boost at 7 in the morning to hit the gym since I go early. And Magic Mind has been the closest thing that I've really enjoyed in that. And I feel like some of that is because, and honestly, I was just looking at it. I feel like this new batch I just got is a lot greener, which makes me think it's a lot fresher.
There you go.
Ah.
Because the
It's got
ones that I
green
used to get, because we've been talking about Magic Mind for now, I feel like a couple of years at this point, and I feel
Feels like
like
it.
feels like it,
Mhm.
and I feel like it wasn't as green, it wasn't as bright, it wasn't as fresh. So I'm definitely
Fresh batch is nice.
fresh batch is real nice.
Maybe I should take one before my workout too, because it's got turmeric. It's got a bunch of stuff in there, but turmeric's supposed to be really good for like post workout and stuff, just with your muscles and inflammation and stuff like that. And I know that's one of their big ingredients too. So
Organic agave tone.
Organic agave.
I like everything. Whatever it is, I always feel more focused after I take it. And yeah, it's
I
just
mean,
good.
that's really what I'm looking for there is that focus. So
Yeah.
if you're looking for focus, you know what to do. You look down in the description, you'll see a link that leads you to magicmind.com/raisedageek40. Use the code raisedageek40 there. You get 40% off your subscription, and this code is only available for the first 10 orders. So you want to make sure you use that code to get 40% off of your subscription to Magic Mind.
Don's using it right now.
I think he is. He wants that 40% off a subscription. Get it quick done. So now there might only be 9. So make sure you hit that code raisedageek40 over at magicmind.com/raisedageek40 and get that subscription, get that savings. You can cancel at any time. You can do 15 or 30, depending on how many you want a month. So definitely hit it up if this sounds like you. All right. Mushrooms.
Uh-huh.
So Penguin was selling bliss.
Yeah.
Mushrooms that made people I always love TV show drugs. Like I love when a TV show goes far enough to like create a drug or a movie.
A new drug.
A new drug. Like they had drops, which I was like, sweet, that's just like an eye drop thing. And it reminded me of like RoboCop 2 with Nuke. We got Nuke, and they're like, and they're like stabbing themselves and stuff. And I did, so I always just love when there's just like when they just make up a drug that's just destroying a city from within. And Penguin did that with Bliss.
We got the whole city on crank. What are you talking about? Like, yeah. So
It's gonna be beautiful. This
Yeah.
bliss, this new thing, this idea that I had everywhere.
it's just kind of an idea that, yeah, whenever they do crime, like gangster families, whatever runs the power is always kind of drugs. It's like the drug sales and whatever. So this didn't really differ from that. I don't know. This is a comic book, but this is also just like you could watch this and look at this show and be like, it's not the Penguin. He's not a Batman villain, and it would still be a good crime drama. You know what I mean? It would still like stand up with any mobster show or mobster movie or crime thriller. Like That's part of why I really liked it. Like, I didn't feel like when I was watching this, I was watching like, you know, Agatha all along or fucking a Captain America show. It just felt like I was watching a good show that just happens to be the Penguin.
But you
Uh,
wouldn't have even known.
right.
Like, they called him a penguin a couple times, but if you really had no idea that this was Batman, you would have no idea it was Batman until the end when they threw the bat signal in the air, and you'd be like, "What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Batman's in this?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the Penguin!" And you could put it together.
Hey, we were just talking about Bliss. Did anyone else really hate, though, that they had to ingest Bliss in that club scene? Everyone's just licking it off of each other, and they had weird red mouths afterwards, and I was just like, I don't care for this.
I kind of forgot about that.
I
I
did
was
too.
like, you guys are gross.
Um, we we kind of talked about Oz, which we'll obviously talk about a little more, and Sophia. But like some of the other characters in the show, and Tony said in the beginning, like nobody was really weak in this show. Everybody did their part. Two characters that were made for this show were Vic, which is basically me and Chris said in our original show is like almost like Robin to Penguin, like it's his
Oh.
sidekick, it's his ward.
Yeah.
And then you also had the mom, which Francis Cobb, which not to get off subject, but Cobb is the last name, which is Cobblepot in the comics, but they changed it to Cobb because I don't know, I guess it just sounds more real than Cobblepot. So I was like, man, Penguin, man, I'm gonna bite your nose off like Danny DeVito. Anyway, but those two characters, I think really added to this. They were
100%.
made for this show. They're not like, Penguin doesn't have a long history of mommy issues, which were kind of weird.
Oh, they were real weird.
They were not kind of weird. They were very weird, but I was interested in them the whole time, but like very strange. But like his mom was an important character in Vic, and I don't know, for being two characters that were just kind of created for this series, I thought they added a lot. Both had big roles to play throughout the whole thing. So I don't know if you guys had any thoughts on those two being part of this and adding to your enjoyment at all.
Yeah, I mean, they were both great characters. I don't know about jumping too far ahead. I mean,
No,
without
just jump ahead.
Just
fella.
jump. Yeah,
Okay,
we have no structure here. So
Vic's a great character. You love him the whole time. You're rooting for him, and you hate when he's making these bad decisions because you think like this kid's got some good in him still. He's smart, Without Vic, I don't think the audience ever truly hates Penguin. You think, oh, this dude's a rat. He's Two-Face. He's this, he's that, he's that. But it's because of what happens with Vic that you go, fuck him. Penguin's a villain. He's not an underdog that you're rooting for, hoping that he gets because he's only gone after bad guys so far. But when that scene happens with Vic, you're like, yeah, okay. We all kind of thought that was probably going to happen at some point, but it was brutal because I love Victor as a character. And of course, I want the kid to be saved or survive at the end. But yeah, I feel like without him being there, it sounds shitty. Even if it was a similar thing with his mom, which it wouldn't have been because of his mommy issues. I don't know. It was just how Vic had no one and nowhere to go, and when he did have an option to leave, he decided to stay, and then he still got turned down at the end.
Still paid the price.
And it wasn't even in a moment, because throughout the entire series, when Oz turns on someone, it's he's saving his skin immediately or he's getting financial gain in the near future. This was straight up cold. It's a sign of you're gonna be weakness for me later on, and I need to do this now. So it was just it was brutal. So yeah, for that, without Vic, I feel like you don't ever fully turn on Penguin.
Vic was the heart of the show. Vic was the heart of the show, and he was our entry into this world.
Yeah.
So I mean, you needed Vic to get through the show as successfully as you did, and it allowed us to see Oz Oz handled Vic perfectly. Like he knew when to push him, he knew when to hold back. Like he was never an ass to Vic. Like he never pushed him too far. He never pushed him into anything. I felt like he always just perfectly walked this line with Vic where he was just like he knew like, oh, Vic went and killed this old drug dealer thing. He knew not to say anything. He knew like to hug him, and he knew to like, even though he had a lot of crazy shit going on in his life, he
Man.
took that second to really like comfort Vic in this moment. And there were a lot of moments throughout the show where, you know, you could I'm remembering one when he was like, when they were having that steak dinner, and he's just like, hey, let him finish, you know, and he's stuttering. And just so many moments where he just played this like really great mentor to him in this horrible way, in this horrible world. And it just, like I said, it felt good, and he was like obviously the heart to bring us in, to make us just kind of not be completely against
To see,
Penguin or Oz and any of those
yeah,
things.
to
So
see a
yeah,
somewhat human side of
yeah,
Oz.
yeah, we would have
That's
never
yeah,
saw it otherwise.
sure,
It,
sure.
it's the smartest way to make a show or movie about a villain by giving them somebody to like make them seem like a decent person and make you invested, rather than be like, you didn't sit here and watch this whole series hate watching Penguin the whole time, be like, he's a fucking asshole. You were like, no, he's good to this kid. He's got good intentions. I'm kind of rooting for him to get what he wants because, you know, there's a good heart in him. But that last scene was put in there specifically to remind you as a viewer, do not root for this man. He is a piece of shit. And when you see him again, you're gonna want him to get
His
Batman to
teeth
beat the
kicked
hell out
in.
of him.
Yeah.
Um uh
So as we're talking about this, obviously spoilers. I think we said it. If we didn't, what are you doing still here? But obviously, at what point did you realize Vic wasn't going to get out of this show? Were you surprised? I know obviously that was a big surprise. I was reading articles where people were like, "Holy shit, I didn't see that coming." So I'm curious, just like, at what was there a point in that where you like when he grabbed him and started choking him? Were you just like, "What?" Or did you see it coming?
I I always felt Vic was gonna die, and I'm not just like saying that because he did, but I didn't 100% think it was gonna be because of Oz. I thought like maybe Sophia would kill him accidentally, or like shoot him in front of Oz, and that like puts him over the edge.
Yeah.
Uh, but I didn't think Vic was gonna make it out, just because this show, there's no happy ending. It never seemed like to me like this is a tragedy, not a, you know,
Mhm.
victorious Penguin standing. Well, I guess he is standing victorious in his own twisted way at the end, but like there was gonna be roadblocks and stuff, and they were just making us care about Vic too much for me to think he was gonna make it. I,
Yeah.
I did not think that Penguin Oz was gonna be the one to kill him, honestly, until I started getting the feeling of that in the last episode. But I didn't. Like I said, I thought he might die just like in a gunfight with the Falcons or something, you know, and it would.
It'd be motivation for something.
Right, right. So, but yeah, that's kind of what I thought, Tony.
Um, yeah. So I was thinking about. I'm not gonna lie and say, oh, I saw it coming all along. There was like an underlying feeling there of like, oh god, this kid, because you like him so much. You're like, this
He
kid's
did
gonna get
so
it.
good. He
Yeah,
did
you're like,
so good.
this
Like,
kid's gonna get it. It's gonna be so sad when he gets it, and then he doesn't, and he doesn't, and he doesn't. You're like, okay, maybe he's not gonna get it. But like, it kind of starts in the beginning. I think when they first meet, I was gonna try to watch the scene before we did this. I didn't have time. Where he catches him stealing his rims, and he takes him out on the night with him to dump the body and take care of the body, and he's about to shoot him. And he kind of gives him the option, like, look, you can work for me or you can do this. What I should do is just shoot you right now. And I'm thinking back, like, yeah, he would literally had no problem killing him then. So what's to stop him from doing it now? He's a user. He uses people to get. He used everyone throughout the entire show.
Mhm.
So why is this kid any different?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think as they went in to hug on the bench is when I knew, oh God, he's gonna kill him right now. Yeah, I mean, like as it was happening, it wasn't like, oh, he's just gonna embrace him. It was like, oh my God, he's reaching for him. And that's when I realized, I think, was it you? It was either you guys or Jess. I was talking to one of you. They said as soon as they saw the bench, they knew that he was dead. Like they knew when they were gonna walk over to the bench that that was where he was gonna
Yeah,
die.
there's not much time left in the show. It's gonna happen.
See, I didn't necessarily have Vic's death planned in my head, but for some reason, once that scene started going, I was just like, Vic's not gonna make it out of this scene. And I didn't really know why, and I kept thinking like someone was gonna come up and pop him. Like this wasn't over. and they're having that conversation. I'm listening to it, and I just had this really bad feeling that something was about to happen and that it wasn't over yet. And then when Oz says, like, "You've seen me at my weakest," I was like, "Fuck, he's gonna kill him." As soon as he said that, I was like, "Yep, that's just this is what's in it." And everything that once he said that, everything that happened afterward, I was just like, "Yep, yep, yep. Okay, here it is. Oh, this sucks." Um, I just had dread watching it, but that whole scene, for whatever reason, I was very uncomfortable watching it. But I still didn't. They had me where I still didn't think Oz would do it. Like I wasn't thinking Oz. I'm seriously literally thinking who was left that could come and like shoot him in the back of the head. I was waiting for some kind of like attack on the bench and on them and not Penguin. So they did such a great job of still making me sympathize with Penguin enough that I didn't think that until he did it. And then I was like, yeah, he's a piece of shit. Okay. All
Until
of
he
those
dropped
things
his
then came true. So they did
yeah.
it perfect for me. It worked
Until he
perfectly.
dropped his lifeless body, then took the money out of his wallet to make it look like he was mugged or killed, and threw his ID in the thing. You're like, yeah, this dude that this show is named after, and I've been rooting for not to die. Like, oh, is he gonna get away? I shouldn't have cared about him the whole time because he sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
My
crazy.
wife, I had watched it and she was catching up. So we were watching something else, and she's like, "Oh, I'm all caught up with Penguin. I just did the last episode." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, she knew I finished it. She's like, "You want to watch it with me?" I know you watched it, and I was like, "No." It's like, she was
I
like,
don't wanna
"Oh,
watch it.
okay." And I didn't want to say why. So later on, she watched it. I'm like, "Did you finish it?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Do you understand why I said no?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, I could not watch that again. I just
Right.
couldn't sit through that again, knowing what I knew then, and be like, "This motherfucker."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just a sign of a good show, though.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
That makes you
It's
care that much. Yeah.
absolutely.
No,
Yeah.
and when there are shows like that where you're sitting there like, I don't want to watch that scene again. You know, I know it's like, I don't want to watch the Red Wedding again in Game of Thrones.
Right.
I don't want to watch fucking the season 6 finale of Sons of Anarchy again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember what that is.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was a horrible finale that they did for going into their final season. And I watched that finale and it ruined my day. And I never,
Tara.
with
Tara,
Tara.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. That was
What happens to Tara? I watched the whole series. I
okay.
can't remember.
Spoilers for Sons of Anarchy from fucking forever ago. But that was when Gemma, that was her name, right?
Yeah.
When she killed Tara. In
I
her
only
kitchen.
remember Gemma killing Tara.
No,
She
Gemma killed Tara.
brutalized her in the kitchen and then made it look like the other gang did it and
Oh.
framed the other gang going into that
Oh yeah,
final
because
season.
Jax
And that
ends
broke
up killing his mom, right?
something like that.
Doesn't
I don't
Jax
remember
kill
the
Gemma?
last season. Like I remember that moment and my brain just shut off of Sons of Anarchy. Like that was brutal. And
Yeah, this moment in Penguin is like that, like
yeah,
Red Wedding.
I don't want to watch it again.
Like Hank Schroeder in fucking Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
you know.
Oh, yeah, those moments, and those are like the greatest TV moments. They're
Yeah.
horrible, but this one is there with them. Like you said, I don't want to watch it again.
It's really funny. We went to Sons of Anarchy when one of those actors is in this show as well.
Theo Rossi.
Yeah,
Theo
I couldn't
Rossi,
remember.
yeah.
I couldn't remember his name.
I guess I didn't see it, so I guess I could go back and look, or we could go back and look. But I guess in episode 4 of this season, there's a scene in there that eagle-eyed viewers have caught on his like his psychiatry desk, that there's like a hand scythe and a mask. So people are thinking he's gonna be a scarecrow.
Oh, okay.
And that like that character originally might have been Jonathan Crane, which is the Scarecrow's name, and they changed it to I forget what his character name is, but we may see him pop up
Julian
again.
Rush.
Julian Rush. If they
Yeah.
if they do go that route, that's kind of a similar origin to Scarecrow
I
being like a
100%
doctor who
surprised.
uses
I know.
fear.
I want to say we talked about it when we watched the first couple episodes, or when we talked about the first like 2 or 3, and we're like, Theo Rossi seems like he's a bigger character for whatever this role, like a bigger actor. I'm like, this feels like there's got to be more to this for him.
More to
And
him,
I like I
yeah.
said, I can't tell you anything he did outside of Sons of Anarchy. So maybe he's not that big of an actor, but it threw me off. And his name was in the credits in like the top 6 castings. So I'm like, feel like there's got to be more there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him again. I mean, they set up for us to see Sophia again.
Yeah.
and
Let's
I would love to.
talk
We
about
need
Sophia. Talk about Sophia.
yeah, we need more of her.
She was outstanding. She was outstanding across this whole length of the show. She owned it from the second she walked in, out of focus behind Oz when he was spewing his bullshit. And she walked in out of focus, and you immediately knew this is gonna be trouble. And she walked in, and when he turned around, his reaction said it, and she was trouble for all of it. And I blanked on her name, Cristin Milioti, just killed it. I've always enjoyed her when she pops up and stuff, but this was her role.
Yeah, she was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was really good. That's a character, like I said, I was familiar with Sophia Falcone from comic books and stuff, but she took it next level. Was really good. Like she had there's a couple scenes that you could pick throughout the show that were just standout.
Yeah.
One of them being the face off between her and the mom. Like when they finally, you guys know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about,
with
when like
Francis.
they kidnapped Frances and had her in the club and they were like going back and forth with each other.
Yeah.
Like that was a standout scene. One of the best scenes of this entire show was at the end on the last episode where Sophia was trying to get Oz to admit what he did, and the mom knew what he did, and they're gonna cut off her finger if he doesn't finally admit it, and he still won't do it. He's still too like proud and stubborn and a liar to admit like enough to he's gonna let his mom's finger get cut off. But like all three of them together just made that scene like so freaking
I
like
loved her in
cinema.
that
It was
scene.
cinema.
Yeah, I loved her in that scene. I loved her being, hey, it finally fell. I loved her being she was like a director of that scene. Like she always would kind of like step in, set the scene, and then step back and watch it happen.
She was the agitator.
Yeah. And she was just there, and she just had so much pleasure on her face watching him squirm, and just and once again, him not really giving her what she wanted in that situation, but just the way she played that off as like this director, the agitator of the situation. That was like, that's her when she wins an Emmy next year or a Golden Globe or whatever award she wins next year, it's for that scene.
Yeah.
Because she was just outstanding in that. I mean, this show's going to win pretty much all the awards next year, right?
I think it's going to
Except
get
for
a lot
maybe
of
Abbott Elementary.
right. I think it's going to get a lot of nominations. I'm curious to see if the bias against comic book stuff is what's going to hold it back.
Okay.
You know,
I know.
How they do. So we'll see, but I definitely think it's deserving. I think the nominations are going to be deserving for
Yeah.
Colin Farrell, for her,
For
for the
Vic.
mom, for Vic,
Yeah, all four of them are going to get.
for the show. It's just that good.
Yeah, just weird sidebar. But yeah, Sophia Falcone, I'm glad they didn't kill her. I was a little nervous. It was funny because when Oz was walking her to like under the bridge, like he was going to kill her, I felt so dissatisfied. The show did this quite a few times for me, where I would be watching something and I'd be like, no, this isn't the right thing to do. And then they would completely like curve it and then do something that I was like, yeah, that's better. And this was one of them where he's like walking her and he's like looking like he's just going to execute her under this bridge. And I was like, this is not the ending for her. And I was just like, I would be so pissed off, like if that's what they did, and then they didn't. And as soon as the cops came and he was gone, I was like, much better.
Okay.
Send her back to Arkham.
I'm glad we're going to see her again because she's a great character.
Yeah.
Okay. But how many chances did she have Oz dead to rights, or Oz had her dead to rights, and neither of them had the opportunity to kill them? So,
Well, the
I
way,
thought-
the way he escaped that scene where he was tied up, like in that last episode, was like, I was like, all right, he just fucking yanked
He
that
just
chair
muscled his
apart.
way through.
what?
Yeah,
Like,
after
one
he
of
got
his legs doesn't
stabbed.
work. What's happening?
Yeah,
After he got bottled by his mom, that was brutal too.
yeah.
But like, so when I thought she was gonna get shot, and bummer to get rid of the character, but all right, she's gonna fucking die. But Oz is just, and I get the idea of like, oh no, that's a bigger punishment than death, putting your back there, because she said it so many times that she hates it there, that it ruined her, that it made her crazy. So that's her punishment from Oz, right? Yeah, but you're sending her back somewhere where she's gotten out of before, and her quasi boyfriend is a doctor at.
Yeah,
So
but he didn't know that.
maybe not the smartest move.
No,
is
I
all I'm
know, I know.
saying.
I mean, yes, from a realistic standpoint, yeah, he probably should have just got rid of her, but
But he kind of didn't because he made a deal with that like counselor or councilman, that attorney, that high ranking attorney. Like, she's the one who's going to take the fall. You're the one who's going to put her in there, and in return for me giving you this information, I am now a part of high society. So he kind of is getting what he wants.
Yeah.
He
that makes
knows
sense.
he knows Sophia, a punishment worse than death is for her is to go back to Arkham. So, and us lucky as viewers get to see her again because they've already teased, like, now she's tied in with Selena Kyle, who obviously was a character in the Batman movie. Well, I'm sure will be in part 2. So we could probably look forward to seeing Sophia again in Batman 2, I would think. Um
Can
so
they
yeah.
work all of this into the Batman 2? What the fuck is the
Dude,
Batman 2 gonna be?
even if
Well,
it's a cameo of her in a cell somewhere, it's fine. I'd just be satisfied seeing her again.
well, we don't even know who the villain of Batman 2
I
is going to be yet. So it's
Well,
hard to
you
say.
said Penguin's only in 6 scenes, so it ain't gonna be him.
Well, yeah, he said he's got like 5 or 6 scenes in
Yeah.
the next one.
Is he just bullshitting?
Maybe.
Could the Penguin be coming off of this show? Could he be the main villain for Batman 2 and people be happy about it?
I would be.
I'd be
But
happy about it.
I don't think he's gonna be, but I would be.
I don't think he's going to be either because I think he still has more building to do.
Do
Like,
you
if they want to
think
get,
But he got the top hat.
he did get the top hat.
He
do you,
had the
do
full
you
look
think
going.
do you think there is gonna, because in the
He doesn't have the
Batman,
monocle yet, though.
was
What?
there a
Sorry.
was there a big bad in the Batman?
The Riddler?
Okay, you're right.
Yeah, Batman 1 was the Riddler. They still haven't said who's the villain in 2, but they showed us Joker in a like a extra scene, which I think they're probably saving to 3. And I don't know, Oz may never be the big bad, but he's going to be involved, you know. Um it might be, and these movies, comic book movies, are not shy about like having 2 villains.
Yeah. Especially
for
Batman.
for a hero to deal with. So
Well, especially a character like Oz who wants to run everything and has his fingers in everything. It wouldn't be a surprise to have him involved in something with another bad guy, another villain.
Or Batman needing to talk to him again like he did in the
Yeah.
first one.
Yeah.
Like needing
Mhm.
Oz for something because he is so connected.
I'm just happy that Colin Farrell's willing to do these because like it had been published out there that he was tired of wearing that damn makeup, like, get the shit off me kind of a thing. But I think after the reception of this show and probably come awards season, all the praise he's gonna get, he's like, all right,
I'll do this again.
I'll sit in the makeup chair for 6 hours to do this again.
Crazy.
I think once you're out of it a while, then you're okay. I know Daniel Craig said that for like 2 James Bond movies before he finally was done. He was just like, I'd rather kill myself than be James Bond again. And then he would do it again. And they were like, man, Daniel Craig, you're going dark. And then he would go be James Bond again. And you're like, okay, I guess it's not that bad. Yeah, you could throw that money at him and he's just like, okay. So Colin Farrell will get, 20 million bucks thrown at him and he'll put that makeup back on. So yeah, I agree. But yeah, man, this was good shit. Anything else in the finale that really stands out, or just the show in general that you'd want to kind of to hit on?
Did it not bother anybody? It didn't bother me because I didn't even really think about it too much. But Andrew Strong played Carmine in like that episode where Carmine was in her flashback, that Sophia episode, which was a phenomenal episode. But in the movie, it was
John Toretto.
John Turturro. And
Toretto, I think that's
Toretto. Who's
Fast and-
John
I think-
Toretto?
I'm pretty sure that's the Dom Toretto from Fast and the Furious.
Fast and Furious.
Yeah. It wasn't Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel
was-
was not in this. But yeah, Andrew Strong's a good actor, but I did notice it and I was like, I wonder what's going on. And like right around that time that episode came out, like somebody asked John Turturro, like, why didn't you come back to do the Penguin show? Because they have Carmine in it. He was like, well, I kind of did what I wanted to do with the character in the movie, so I didn't really feel the need. And then he also decided to add in, he was like, and I read the script for the Penguin, and just like, I feel like the violence against women is a little overboard. And I started thinking about that as I'm watching the show. I was like, what violence against women is he talking about? I didn't really nobody punched Sophia in the face. I mean, maybe like her being locked up in the Arkham was a little much for him to handle,
I
but
think it was, and because I recently watched the Batman after somewhere in the middle of this season, and the fact that character Falcone's, I mean, his main arc from the Batman and through this show was that he was murdering women. He was
maybe that
choking women and framed
maybe
his
that was
daughter,
it.
and that was
Yeah.
what he was doing all throughout the Batman, was him basically murdering prostitutes. So I think that ultimately he probably just didn't want to be associated with that again, and
Yeah,
just
so even though we didn't see it happen,
Mhm.
it was his character that he would have played that would have been doing all of it.
I got it. So
So I
now
think
that makes a little sense, but I was just
I
curious.
what
When
was
Mark
weird is
Strong has a wig on, does it make everyone else like laugh a little bit?
when who?
Mark Strong, the actor who played
Oh.
Falcone, anytime he has a wig on, I'm just like, you're bald in real life and you look weird.
Yeah.
I knew what was weird is I forgot who played him in the movie. So like when I saw, like I said, Mark Strong kind of pop up, I was just like, I know that's not right, but it works. And then when I went back and watched the movie, I was like, oh, it was John Turturro,
Totoro.
Turturro. And then I was like, oh yeah, he must just not want to come back, but it works. They went younger. I thought they did a good job of mixing that out. That it didn't bother me too much.
Yeah, I was just curious if anyone.
It would have
makes
obviously
sense.
been cool if they would have been able to just fully do
Yeah.
this, but I
And
understand.
I guess my last question will be to end the show. The ending is, Penguin up in his loft or penthouse, dancing with his prostitute
Slash mom.
girlfriend slash mom, because big Oedipus complex. We haven't really touched on it, but it's just very strange. Even just watching it the whole time, I'm like, this is making me feel cringy.
Oh yeah, when he was like laying in the bed with his mom, like all cuddling her, like, "Hey ma,
I love you, baby girl. Get up, ma." Like you're taking mama's boy to the next level.
well, yeah, and then to
Gross.
give his mom's clothes to his prostitute girlfriend, and then
Which
say,
is
"Just
very
talk to me like you're my mom." It's like,
yeah.
all right, bro.
And his mom
Say you're
being
proud of me.
yeah, his mom being in like a vegetative state, and he's keeping her up
Yes.
there, and like a single tear running down her face. More like tragedy of this show.
And he can't even admit that she hates him. He he even says,
Right.
"You're so happy you can cry," or something along those lines.
Yeah, he just won't even.
And it's like you
she
can't even
told
admit
him-
it.
She told him she doesn't want to be like that. So the
Yeah.
fact that he's willing to just lock her in like that's fucked up.
And she told him, like, the last thing she said to him was like, "I hate you. I've always hated you." Like that whole we didn't even really talk about that, but like just the whole backstory and him killing his brothers and being a psycho kid from that
He's a
young
serial
age.
killer. He's a
Right.
serial killer.
But anyway, that last scene, the last thing you see on this show is Batman's bat signal.
Yeah.
Did you guys think that was cool?
Yes.
And I thought it was cool because of course, it's the bat signal at the end of the Penguin, but they didn't have Batman in this entire show for a lot of reasons. I think they kind of wanted to keep it separate and its own thing. But if you really start thinking about it as like um, in a literal sense, like would Batman have not intervened at some point in this when a giant explosion goes off in the slums underground, or there's a giant explosion, whatever, or the Falcone mansion is on fire and there's these huge gunfights? I don't know.
There's a new
I'm just
drug hitting the streets.
I think that's the problem when you do a show that's based on a film. Like Pattinson's not coming back for this. They don't got enough money to pay him to do a scene in this movie, and they kind of also want to let it do its own thing. But in our minds as viewers, like, but Batman should be there. You
He
know
would
what I
be
mean?
here.
He would be here doing something about some of this stuff.
Well, I just wanted Oz to be worried about it. Like Batman kind of chased him around, like
In the
they
movie,
didn't even need
Right.
to have him be in it, but have someone say, "Aren't you worried about the bat?" Or "Aren't you this?" Like he fucking got into a giant car chase. One of the biggest action sequences of that movie was the Penguin. Like he dealt with the Batman and got tied up from the Batman. So it's like, why isn't he at least somewhat looking over his shoulder that the Batman
Could
might not
be
just show up in the sewers?
right.
Like, just have him acknowledge that the Batman exists, and I think I would have been happy.
sure, and then we wouldn't have had. Then it would have been a Batman show and not a Penguin show. You know what I mean?
I
Right.
know,
I know what you mean. Like it makes sense realistically. if crimes are being committed in Gotham, Batman usually shows up.
And especially since Batman was already involved in the Penguin's crimes.
And the Falcone family and the
and the
Maroni
Falcone
crime
family.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be worried that he might come back around.
And I
Right.
think I counted they mentioned the Riddler about 4 times. So, like, but you can mention the Riddler. Why can't someone just be like the Batman?
Yeah.
You
I mean,
know?
they intentionally never said the Batman. There, you know, what I mean, there's whatever their reasoning is, if they wanted to save it for the signal at the end, but there's a reason they didn't say that. But yeah, would it have been cool if them like, dude, aren't you worried about him showing up?
Yeah.
No, he's dealing with whatever. Mr. Freeze is doing this on whatever island, or who knows? Just an explanation of why he wasn't there. Sure.
Just have
But-
Jeffrey Wright walk in as Commissioner Gordon for a scene or something. Like, give me something else, you know?
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been cool, but I did like the bat signal popping up at the end. I thought, I don't know, it satisfied me enough that it was Batman. Like, okay, Batman's on this now, so I wasn't mad at it. But yeah, somewhere in those like last few episodes, I was starting to be like, all right, we're doing some big shit now. Like,
Right.
Batman should be involved in this.
Yeah, I was just curious. I'm glad they showed it. It's going to lead us right into the Batman 2.
Now, my last question, because it's come out now that there's reports that HBO now wants to do a Joker show with Barry Keoghan. Because, of course, this show was successful, we want more.
What's the name?
What?
Who? Barry who?
Barry Keoghan from
Everything.
You know
Banshees of
him.
the Inisherin, and
yeah.
he was the Joker in the Batman.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He played Joker. Gotcha.
He was in the Eternals.
So now
Yeah.
they're talking about doing a show to lead into, I guess, the Batman 3 was the report I read of the Joker. And I want to beg HBO not to do this.
Well, I think after that report came out, I think James Gunn already debunked it and said no.
All right. Well,
That's-
then never mind my question.
Yeah.
This is what
So,
happens when you hang out on Blue Sky instead of Twitter.
Yeah. You'll take his word over anything else. He said that's not a thing. So,
Okay.
but then again,
But
with
this
the
isn't
success-
James Gunn's Batman, right?
well, he's still the head of DC.
Okay.
I think with the success of the show, I would not be surprised if something else happens besides just Batman 2. I think they can look at this Matt Reeves Batman universe and be like, we got something here. Like, this movie was a success. This show was a success. We're making another movie which people are gonna fucking go see. We already know they will. Why not play around and find something else to do? Are you gonna make a Gotham City Police Department show? Are you gonna make a Commissioner Gordon show?
They
Are
already
you gonna-
had that, didn't they? Didn't they cancel that?
Yeah, but that wasn't like tied to this. Like
Oh,
you,
okay.
you do your own version of.
That wasn't HBO.
I think they were gonna do an Arkham Asylum show that got something in there. Like it ended up not happening, but maybe you revisit that now with the success of this. So I just like this Gotham. I like Matt Reeves Gotham. I already said at the beginning, I wish this was the Batman stuff moving forward, the only Batman stuff. I don't need another side Batman that's tied with Superman. I just like this. But whatever, wishful thinking. But I don't know, just a great show.
Yeah.
I haven't watched the Batman in a long time. I think I'm gonna probably rewatch it soon.
Same.
I enjoyed rewatching it. It was it's just a really good. It's the first time I watched it since theater, somewhere in the middle of watching this, and it just adds an extra layer. Seeing Penguin again, just kind of a little bit different, was kind of nice, and to go back now post Penguin, I think was really cool. So yeah, no, show was outstanding. I'm ready for, I guess, Dune is our next HBO Sunday shows that start next week.
I think so.
I didn't even see the sequel.
You didn't watch Dune 2?
Nope.
That's
You
the movie
should.
came out in 2024, and you should check it out so you can put it
Is
on
that
your
going to be
list.
one of your top fives?
Probably.
Probably.
Not a lot of movies came out this year, so yeah, Dune 2 is probably going to make my list.
Is it 3 hours?
Probably.
It's long.
Somewhere in there. It's
Yeah.
under 3, I want to say, but not much. So, lots of things. We're going to wrap up our conversation on the Penguin here, unless you guys have any final thoughts on the Penguin. You guys are good? You
Yep.
got it all out?
I promise I got it out. I promise,
I
Ma.
promise, Ma. I promise. Take care of you. Take care of you. We're going to take care of you over on social media at raisethegeek.com, or you can shoot us an email at raisethegeek@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought about the Penguin. You know, down in the description how to get yourself a 40% off subscription to Magic Mind. Get those natural ingredients and check that out. It's good for you. So do things that are good for you. So Magic Mind.
Delicious.
It's delicious. Go do it.
It is
Natu-
delicious.
Natural ingredients. But with that said, I think that's going to do it for us this week. So for Raise the Geek, I'm Chris.
I'm done.
And I'm Tony.
And thanks for checking out the show.
Where geek is all we speak.